I first begin by welcoming Mrs. Anand. Also our World Food Prize winners, who you will have an opportunity to meet this morning, Mrs. Caraño, and honored guests and colleagues. So it was mentioned that on September 11th, 1971 actually marked the 45th anniversary of the date that CIP was founded. But our work began several years earlier. In those early times, our potato collectors worked in very remote areas of Ancash, La Libertad, and Junín. They traveled for weeks on end, and often in times of gas rationing, in the face of terrorism, with limited connectivity to anyone. To collect the thousands of varieties of roots tubers that now populate CIP's gene bank, they traveled to small villages on horseback when their four-wheel drive vehicles could go no further. They used local knowledge and their years of experience to gather these treasures of the Incas and their predecessors. One researcher, I understand, when traveling on remote stretches of a road, was known to tell the driver to stop because he could actually smell the potatoes. And apparently he was correct 9 times out of 10. This was the world of CIP's founding scientists were living in when the center was founded. In these early years, CIP's first Director General, Dr. Richard Sawyer, had a vision of regional research and collaboration with researchers around the world, bringing new technologies and innovations to improve food security. With our mission to reduce poverty and hunger, improve nutrition of smallholder root and tuber farmers, our work expanded from the Andes to other continents around the world, including Africa and Asia. In those days, researchers collaborated by mail and would travel great distances and meet colleagues, partners, and farmers, often working under challenging conditions. In many places where we work today, conditions have not changed very much, but at least in today's world, we're able to connect with much greater ease. Under Dr. Sawyer's leadership and those Director Generals who followed, Dr. Hubert Sandra, Dr. Pamela Anderson, CIP continued to evolve with a focus on research for development and scaling for impact. Yes, we have had great leaders, but most importantly, we have had extremely dedicated and committed staff. We've had social scientists, breeders, gender specialists, economists, agronomists, pathologists, nutritionists, just to mention a few. Many of those individuals are here today, and I would like to acknowledge our team here and around the world for the tremendous work that we have done over the years. As I've said, CIP has accomplished a lot over the past 45 years. We have been a key player in research for development of potato and sweet potato. Although the foundation of our work has been focused on breeding locally adapted and consumer-preferred varieties that are tolerant to both biotic and abiotic stresses, we work with our partners across the entire value chain, from developing the very best varieties to ensuring quality seed systems are in place to guarantee farmers access to the best clean planting material, to working and linking with private sector entrepreneurs to process their products after harvest. We focus on gender inclusion through the value chain, and capacity development is at the core of what we do. While in 1988, our mandate crop of potato was expanded to include sweet potato, our work on biofortified orange flesh sweet potato did not start in earnest until several years later. Scientists in the nutrition community did not understand the potential for the powerful link between agriculture and nutrition. After much work to convince the nutrition community, CIP, along with our partners and with the support of our donors, has led the development of the most compelling evidence for going to scale with orange flesh sweet potato as a model for biofortified crops. We have built robust evidence to demonstrate that just 125 grams per day of orange flesh sweet potato meets the daily vitamin A requirements of a young child. From the outset of our work, we learned that nutrition education is critical in ensuring orange flesh sweet potato is incorporated into the diets of pregnant and lactating moms and young children. Since 2009, through our work and our partners' work, the livelihoods of 2.2 million households in 7 sub-Saharan African countries have been impacted by this richly biofortified crop. This has been a multidisciplinary effort across the entire value chain, including agriculture, nutrition, and health integration, regional breeding, quality seed system development, and post-harvest innovations done in partnership with local communities, health and extension services, and national and regional programs and NGOs. This work is in fact the basis for the World Food Prize awarded to 3 of our CIP scientists. Here in Peru, the center of origin of potato, CIP has had tremendous success in connecting potato farmers to markets through value chain work. At the turn of this century, Peru's now famous native potatoes were actually little known even in Peru and much less in the rest of the world. CIP had done much to conserve and preserve these native potatoes in its gene bank and documented centuries of traditional knowledge about how to best cultivate them, but the smallholder farmers were not benefiting from the richness of this Andean crop. CIP took on the challenge of transforming this asset into business opportunities for the farmers who grew them, the processors who can convert them into ready-to-eat snacks, and to the chefs who would popularize them in their renowned restaurants. This value chain approach has made the colorful Peruvian potato known to the world, and the approach itself has been imitated by others and has been incorporated by CIP's programs throughout the world. We are, in our words and deeds, an agriculture for research and development institution that delivers sustainable solutions to the global problems of food security, nutrition, poverty, gender inclusion, and climate change. Today, the legacy of the famous Peruvian potato scientist Carlos Ochoa lives on through CIP's Biodiversity Center, where we hold the largest collection of potato and sweet potato and Andean root and tuber crops, germplasm of the world. It is the core to our research, and it continues to grow and remains on the cutting edge of agricultural conservation and preservation. But this is not a collection just for the sake of being a collection, but a resource to be used by researchers around the world to improve resiliency to climate change, to improve nutrition and improve productivity. With focus on repatriating potato germplasm back to local communities, we at CIP have made nearly 7,700 germplasm transfers of more than 1,250 accessions back to 89 local communities and 6 institutions in Peru. In 2015, the United Nations announced the Sustainable Development Goals as the cornerstone of its development priorities. Having integrated relevant elements of the goals of ending hunger, eliminating poverty, promoting health, and well-being, establishing gender equity, and climate action are embedded into our strategy. Moreover, potato and sweet potato are widely recognized as climate-resilient crops that are resistant also to climate shocks. We believe that our crops are well-positioned to help smallholder farmers around the world who are impacted disproportionately by the harmful effects of a warming planet. So while today we are celebrating our 45th anniversary, we do so with an eye on the future and the huge problems we face to eliminate poverty, improve health and nutrition in a sustainable way as we face the challenges of climate change. Earlier this year, in a ceremony at the U.S. Department of Agriculture in the U.S. State Department, the World Food Prize Foundation announced that CIP researchers, Dr. Jan Lowe, Maria Andrade, and Robert Mwanga, along with Dr. Howarth Boas of Harvest Plus, will be awarded the 2016 World Food Prize for their work on biofortified orange flesh sweet potato to reduce hidden hunger and specifically vitamin A deficiency, which is one of the most pernicious forms of undernourishment in the developing world. This award recognizes the contribution of these scientists and that of many others who have been made to reduce vitamin A deficiency and contribute to the reduction of childhood blindness and stunting. To the CIP family, the World Food Prize is a further recognition of CIP's leading research for development capabilities and leading-edge work done to bridge agriculture and nutrition. So we're very, very proud of these three scientists who have dedicated their careers to make this story a success. So if I could have Jan and Maria and Robert stand up for just a moment. Thank you so much. Today we will also hear from a great friend of CIP, Mrs. Nan Anan. I was actually introduced to her only 2 years ago, as the Anans were learning about the wonders of orange flesh sweet potato and how this crop can contribute to the prevention of childhood blindness caused by vitamin A deficiency. The Anans are keenly aware of the impact that this amazing crop can have on their home country of Ghana, as more than 1/3 of children under 5 suffer from micronutrient deficiency and hidden hunger. Over the past year and a half of her involvement with CIP and our partners, Nan has been called the ambassador of the sweet potato. She has lent her unconditional, enthusiastic support for the sweet potato through advocacy and education. Her dedication to the communities in Ghana and Western Africa as well is admirable, and it has been an absolute pleasure to work with her as we share our achieved agendas, or as we achieve our shared agendas, So Nane, thank you and welcome to you. And I would also have to say that as we're here celebrating our 45th anniversary of agriculture research for development, we would not be here today if it weren't for the support of the Peruvian government. We thank the Peruvian government for your support through these past 45 years and for the many decades ahead. So 45 years ago, a group of visionaries had the grit to start a research organization to benefit smallholder farmers around the world and the communities in which they live. Their vision became a reality. And now that CIP has turned 45, what should our vision be going forward? Well, we have already set some very ambitious goals, like building on the success of sweet potato programs and enabling 15 million households in Africa, Asia, and Haiti to improve the quality of their diet by 20% and raising their crop income by 15%. We propose introducing early maturing potatoes into farming systems to increase the productivity of smallholders throughout Asia. And we have set out to put high-quality seed and biofortified potatoes in the hands of 600,000 smallholder households in the potato-growing regions of Africa. In Peru and Latin America, we will similarly continue our efforts in working with food and nutrition vulnerable communities and in the development of pro-smallholder value chains to provide nutritious food and sustainable income-generating opportunities for rural communities. Indeed, we have had a 45 years of history that we celebrate today, but CIP is poised for the future, using strong science, partnering smartly, and through the generous support of our donors. I thank you very much.